The balance between the eminent domain part and the fitness part is a little unclear to me. Right, I think you're right on both sides.
It's about to go back.
We miss you all very much, and there's a lot of stuff here, but welcome back to our regular public session. Okay. I was requesting you just clarify and restate for myself and public that this transaction would relate to both a purchase and sale agreement and a tenant domain taking. But we're
Okay, so
as a city, we have an opportunity to do something different in a private home than like private acquire a purchaser.
well, so to a certain extent, yes, but actually it's almost the opposite. So a private entity and a town can enter into a purchase and sale agreement and acquire a parcel for the fair market value, regardless of what an assessed value is. But the statute restricts a city from purchasing a property for a value that exceeds 25% of the average of the last 3 years.
I recall that.
Yeah, so it's more that we have that restriction, but we have that, but then we also have that ability to take core municipal purposes property.
Thank you. Appreciate the restating that. Was helpful. We're back in regular session. I'm prepared to make the motion unless the councilors have any other questions beforehand, or I can go ahead.
Councilman, I did have a question that related.
Yes, please proceed, Councilor Worthing.
So when we had a session maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago, I asked if we have or if we received a recommendation from capital advisory board. Because it's a requirement when we acquire land. I should read something in the charter, and I'm just trying to make sure we're doing everything the right way here. Capital program. Capital program shall be prepared for the mayor's review and approval by the community development department with the advice of the planning board and capital advisory board. Capital program shall set forth the schedule for land acquisition, utility expansion, replacement, and major building projects for the next 5 years. The program shall include explanation of cost projection for each item, as well as expected funding sources for each item scheduled for the current year. In the course of preparing the capital improvement program, the community development department shall contact all city agencies and departments to solicit project proposals. The mayor shall annually submit the updated capital improvement program. And I also know somewhere else in the ordinance, and I couldn't find past it, that anytime the city council votes to acquire land, they don't need to recommend it. They have to have had a recommendation. Right? They could vote against it, but the council can make a decision. But I asked this a couple weeks ago, and I don't know, Mayor, I think you said you might have to ask them or get it on their agenda. I'm not sure if they even have a forum right now. But
No, they actually do have a forum, but we've been in discussion with them about this one. Like most of the projects we've done, they were in process. You know, like when I became mayor, we were already talking about police station, so it's kind of cart before the horse. Same thing with this one. We are at a time crunch. It's not really anything new. But we have 7 members of capital advisory.
Yeah, and they're just an advisory.
And they're
board.
just advisory.
There is an advisory board to
And
the
they-
mayor.
And there's been some disagreements on the board too about that clause in the charter not being followed in the past. So they're all on 90-day appointments right now while we come up with a plan going forward. Because they do want to feel that they're being valued, and I don't want to look like we're undermining them.
right. I think that's one of the things, if we don't ask their opinion, they won't give us their opinion, right?
Right.
And then we'll just.
But in my conversations with the chair, since I took office, it was like, you know, we understand this is what we'd like to get to. I don't think there's been a capital plan in place forever, or one that's produced never got recognized.
Right, so there's 2 separate things. One is the capital improvement plan, which we don't have for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
But then I don't have it in front of me exactly, but there is, whenever the city council acquires property, we're required to have a recommendation from them. So, and they're not just advisory to the mayor, it's advisory to the council too. And you know, I'm not trying to slow the process down, make sure we do it the right way.
Yeah.
And could we in the next month, I mean, aside from conversation, could they have a meeting and recommend it? Or even if, I think the thing is, if they recommend against it, it doesn't stop the council making a decision, but that process has to be followed. And it just, you know, we've been talking about this for a little while now. And I'm just hopeful that there is a way to get that recommendation to the council before I guess we have a public hearing on this, we're probably,
You're looking at April.
6, 7 weeks away.
April 8th or 9th for the public hearing. It's not on the next meeting.
April 8th is the next city council.
Has this been advertised yet?
What are we talking about?
The hearing for the loan order for the two
It can
library.
be authorized, it can
Yeah.
be advertised for.
Yeah.
We don't advertise in advance, but there would be time.
Already has a pretty heavy agenda, so.
Yeah, well, that'd be, Mr. President, your call on scheduling. I could certainly reach out to the board again, but I don't think this purchase, the city hasn't been very good on that clause in the charter, and we're trying to fix it going forward.
And I would also say that this agreement or this contract was entered into back in 2023. So this is not a new agreement, but this is, we put out the RFP for the acquisition or lease of property in 2023 to extend the lease and the use of this property. So right now this is, and that lease agreement stated that it would be available for sale on the second year of the lease, and that second year has occurred. So this isn't sort of a new opportunity for the city. This has been something that we have been planning for a number of years.
and I think that would mean you'd have had a lot of time to ask the capital advisory board. Right, if you've been working on this for a number of years, we can't say we're under a crunch right now without having asked their opinion, so I just see the word shall, and we take an oath and those kinds of things, and it's just like, maybe the charter still matters, or maybe it doesn't.
It still matters, but it's a matter of, this has not been happening for years. We're trying to fix it going forward. This is not something that should get in the way of that. It's an advisory board, and I respect them, and we want to get them involved as we go ahead. And that's why they're on 90-day appointments, because they don't want to get full appointments till we come up with a plan that works for both sides.
I'm just following up on the conversation we had here, where I asked 6 or 7 weeks ago, you said, we can get their opinion, we can get their recommendation, it's been 2 months, so just hoping before this is finally heard, we can consult these people who, their resumes speak pretty strongly for their credentials, and I would think that that would be information that would be helpful.
I'd like to make the observation, I appreciate you bringing that up again, Councilor Worthley, but the work that Connor has clearly done for the mayor's office and for us indicates that, we could go on paying this annual lease for another 20 years, 10 years, at risk of losing it, or exercising the option that's within the lease now to exercise our purchase, and that the dollar value of doing that is a net gain for both meeting the city's educational needs and reducing our overall cost.
I'd like to just point out that Councilor Worthley's question on the charter. This is about capital improvement program.
That's part of the charter, and there is
Yeah,
another
but
ordinance
that's,
on acquisition.
so the charter doesn't really have, it's kind of silent on this. This is about, because it's about a program that hasn't existed, not about individual
If it could
sales.
take more time, I could find an ordinance that says on acquisition of land, that the city council is required to have their opinion.
But
I'm not aware of any.
But on the, but do you understand what I'm saying? That what this talks about specifically is about a program, not about individual
Yeah.
sales or, when pieces are called claim surplus or anything like that.
I haven't found it quickly enough.
So it wouldn't be in violation of the charter.
Well, not having a plan is in violation.
Right,
but
that is,
aside from
that's in
that-
general. That has nothing to do with this, what we're talking
Well, I
about
was trying to
now.
find, and this is from 20 years ago on the council, we had to do this with, sale of Maplewood Ave School, we owned it and were selling it, we still had the capital advisory board say this is the best move to make. Or at least review it, and I can't find it, but, Councilmember, I wasn't debating the numbers or the
Well,
educational
I
value.
think you've raised the issue, you had raised it before, and you've made a point, and Councilor Gilman has a question.
No, I'm ready to make the
No, okay.
motion.
I don't think we're gonna address or resolve what we're talking about here, I think. As the Budget and Finance Committee, we're here to bring this to council.
That's right. We have to run to a meeting, I don't want people to think I'm leaving in protest.
Take
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
care, Ted. So, this is item number 1 on our agenda, our memorandum from the general council regarding the acquisition of property located at 2 Blackburn Drive, Gloucester, Mass. and a loan order authorization in the amount of $4,600,000. Budget and Finance Committee recommends to move to recommend that the City Council approve the loan order as follows. Ordered that the City of Gloucester appropriates $4,600,000 to pay costs of acquiring the property located at 2 Blackburn Drive in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and costs of remodeling and initial outfitting or upgrades to said property, or any fees or services related to that transaction, and any other costs incidental or related thereto. To meet with the appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7(1), or pursuant to any other enabling authority. Further order that the treasurer is authorized to file an application with the Municipal Finance Oversight Board to qualify under Chapter 44A of the general laws, any or all of the bonds authorized by this order, and to provide such information and to execute such documents as the Municipal Finance Oversight Board may require for these purposes. And and I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Would there be a problem with getting the CIAB to?
I'll see what their schedule
Review
is. Do you think you'll put it on for the 8th?
No.
Okay, so give it a little extra time.
Who's the current chair?
Paul Robery.
Oh, yeah, that would be really good to
Yeah.
get that.
Motion been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Councilor Gross,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard, yes. Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Second part of the motion, committee recommendation to recommend that the City Council approve the order of taking of the fee simple title in number 2 Blackburn Drive, Gloucester, Massachusetts, accepting any easement of record along with all buildings and trees thereon as described in the order of taking in accordance with general law, Chapter 40, Section 14, Chapter 43, section and chapter for general municipal purposes and for all purposes and uses accessory thereto, and to pay damages in the amount of $4,050,000. And I so move.
Second.
I think that's correct. Show it,
Can
Suzanne.
I just make sure that you said accepting and I'm not sure if it's exempting?
Accepting.
Accepting,
Mhm.
okay.
There's another typo in there. too.
Yeah.
Not
You
material.
said it correctly, so
It says $4 million, and it sounds like Mini Me would say, MILLIOON, $1,000,000. Motion made and seconded.
did you second it? Or did I?
No,
I
I
did,
did it.
Gilman did, okay.
Roll call vote. Councilor Gross,
Yes.
Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard, yes. Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you all.
Onwards.
See you in a
Thank you.
few weeks.
Thank you for all your good work and preparation and laying the groundwork with us.
Team effort.
Mr. Superintendent, we hope that this will work out for us.
Have a
Oh,
good,
it's been
have a
working out for
good,
years and it'll work out for many more years. Thank you very much,
have a good
councilors.
induction tonight
Thank you
in
very
the
much.
National Honor Society.
Item number 2 on our budget and finance agenda this evening is a memorandum from City Clerk requesting our acceptance of a donation of 219 stellar-looking patriotic voting booths from the city of Woburn with an estimated value of $11,000. And I so give you the floor.
I'm very excited about this. After the presidential election in November, I was informed by the DPW that our voting booths had reached the end of their useful life and they were becoming more of a hazard and needed to be discontinued. So I surveyed other area clerks to find out what types of voting booths they used. They all used voting booths that were very, they all were using the same booths that are very expensive. And the city of Woburn reached out to me and said that the city clerk said that she was surplusing voting booths because they had recently got a grant or something, so they were able to purchase new ones. And it was accepted, so it's a big savings to have purchased these brand new. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's in your memo. would have been a lot.
Yeah.
And to be able to
Your
get them.
staff and the DPW will review the quality and
Yes.
condition of
Yep.
Woburns
Yep.
surplus.
We did.
Good.
And I'm really excited about it. It's been very expensive, and to be able to get them for free is a big deal to me.
Can we write you a thank you note?
Yes, I'm definitely going to once it's accepted.
Great.
Just for our information, total number of voting booths used by the city in the national election typically is,
Oh, like 90, I think. So there's a lot. There's a surplus. So we probably won't be needing voting booths for the next 25 to 30 years.
well,
It'll last
I
us
heard
a long
someone say
time.
that this was our last election.
Oh. I don't think so. We will be having an election on April 24th,
Yes.
then one in September.
So
one in
this, you say 90 odd is what the city needs for all of
We
our-
need about like 10
5
per,
precincts.
yeah, about 100, I guess, about 10 per precinct. And they had extras, so I took.
Any further council questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Budget and Finance moves to recommend that the city council accept under Mass General Law 4453A and 1/2 a tangible donation of 219 voting booths from the city of Woburn with an estimated value of $11,000, and I so move.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Chief, are you still with us? Thank you, Grace.
I am.
So you're up next with the 2025 SBT number 16 in the amount of $9,171.75 for your fleet, I believe.
Correct. Good evening, councilors, and of course, thank you for having me here. This is sort of a boring request. Sorry, I couldn't make it more exciting for you, but it's we had one of our police cruisers was involved in a crash. It was the other person's fault ultimately, but the payment, given the age of the cruiser that was damaged, the payment from the adjuster wasn't enough to replace the cruiser. So we found some money in another line item of our budget to be able to kind of fill in that gap so we can replace that vehicle. And that's what this transfer is for.
Excellent. Councilors, questions?
So we're getting a 2025 vehicle for under $10,000.
No, will be, the 9,000 is added to what the check we got back from the insurance company, which was 63. So it's about 73,000 to completely replace the cruiser.
Right, and the cruiser was a 2017, so we're getting,
Correct. Yes, correct.
so for
Wow.
under $10,000, we're getting a brand new cruiser for replacing one that's 8 years old. So.
We're trying to keep it quiet, but yes, no, just kidding.
That's awesome.
Well, we have you. I just want to appreciate the view behind you in the office suite there that reflects our new police station and courthouse.
It does, yeah. It's this is the new chief's office. Not too bad. Really nice.
I like the window treatments.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
Any further councilor questions? I think as Councilor Gross said, you know, in the big picture, this is a good deal for the city, unfortunately for the write-off. But
Sounds great.
if there are no other councilor questions, I would move to recommend that the city council approve a special budgetary transfer, 2025 SBT 16 in the amount of $9,171.75 from police uniform personal services salaries. Account number is noted to police uniform capital outlay vehicles account number as noted. And this is for the purpose of paying a portion of the costs of a replacement police cruiser. And I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, councilors. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you, chief.
Item number 4 on our agenda this evening is a memorandum of the Director of Public Health requesting approval of a fee change request regarding rental and registry regulation. And I'm sure this was inspired by the DPW director, some updating of some of the DPW's regs. So,
He just got to the plate first.
Good.
You've been
Welcome.
working on it for almost a year. Thank you. Thank
Dominique
you.
Furley, building up director up there.
And is it all right if I share a presentation with you all?
Yeah, I tried to open it up online, but I wasn't able to get access.
You're looking at it? Yeah. All right, so at the end of the day, what we're asking for with this request is for you to allow us to change our fees from $90 to $30. And that sounds like we're going down, which we are, but we're also dramatically changing what we're doing. And so we thought it would be helpful to show you what we're doing and give you a perspective on that. So in general, this is the first of what will be 4 presentations to you, and that was recommended to us by the mayor's office, because in each instance, we've been looking really hard at how we operate and what's important and what the value is to the city and what we're required to do by law. And in almost every case, it's pretty different than what historically this department has done. And so we are looking at all of our regulations in terms of how we add value, how we assure compliance, of course, because we report to the state in that respect, and hit the local regulations. And then how can we make sure that we're charging our residents appropriately for the work that's being done. And so what we did to get here was look at 4 key prongs of approach here. First, looking at calculating inflation. So in 2007, what did $1 get us? And in 2025, we're 58 cents more. So that's an easy sort of markup if you wanted to look at it that way, which we don't do in most cases. The second one we looked at was cost return. So what does it actually take us to do the work? And so for that model, and that's a link to it, by the way, you can go in and have a look at all of the work that we've been doing. So we took an average salary of around 65,000. We added 33% fringe, which we clarified with the treasurer's on or about right. And we come up with about $50 an hour. So every hour that our employee spends doing their job, it costs the city $50. Right. And so then we took a look at how long does it take our employees to do each thing? What are the different steps involved? And really quickly you come up with what it costs us to do, and then also comparing that to the fees. And in almost every case, we are losing money at a pretty big clip, depending upon what service we're providing. The other factor we looked at was our value. So we have activity and how effective are we? And this one comes up pretty big in the presentation that we're going to give you tonight. So we have activities and what impact are they having and how much time is it taking for us to do that work, equaling to the value that we're bringing to the community. And then we also looked at other towns to see how they are charging for fees and structures. So I'm putting this up here just so you know that we have spent a whole lot of time looking really closely at everything that we've done. And so this first presentation is coming to you now, a rental fee update. In the end of the day, it's this one request of from 90 to 30. But after this, we'd like to come before you with septic fee updates, food fee updates, and then finally all others. And, in this document, which I'll make sure you have access to, Councilor Menhart, is, helps you understand exactly what each one's doing. So in the case of septic, we're really going to be focusing on the complexity of the effort, because some projects are simple and we should be charging very bare minimum prices for that, and others are quite complex, requiring a lot of inspector time and significance and impact on our environment. So those will go up accordingly. Food, looking really carefully at how are we moving and tracking with what the state is expecting of us, perhaps very different from how some of our current restaurants are looking at things. And then this will take into account how we're going to be approaching that. In some cases, again, prices staying very simple. In other cases, it getting a little bit more expensive. However, we are able to actually find places where we have been doing duplicative billing, and really feel like we shouldn't be charging the way that we have been charging. So there's recommendations there as well. And in all cases, we're not only looking at labor, but we're also looking at return to the city. So we've taken into account the impact of revenue on the city as well. Make sense? So moving on to rental, I'm gonna skip past this slide, because it was, if you were going to be doing a pre-read, it would help you understand what you're gonna be looking at. And I'm gonna show you what you're gonna be looking at right now. So, what we did is, 3 slides here on assessment. Important to understand is that historically, for us to manage against the 105 CMR 410, the state's requiring us that we ensure that residential properties that are, meet essential health and safety requirements. And our local regulations support that by making sure that via inspection, we are able to prove that the landlord has an understanding of 105 CMR 410. The dynamic that we have, and you can see some of our numbers here in the bullets, we estimate that there's about 5,000 rental properties in Gloucester. That's based on census data. As you all know, we're pretty unclear on the total number of rental properties that we have in the city because, folks traditionally who should be registering with this department are not. So we think by looking at census, 61% of homes in Gloucester are considered owner occupied. So we just round that off and say the other 39% we're going to presume is possible market for rentals. Out of all of those 5,000, we only know by doing an extensive research project last summer via an intern that we only know we have 1,482 properties that we have history of either incident or compliance to certificates. We currently permit only a total of 560 of those units. And only about 262 of those are annually coming out for review. There's increments of time and how often we have to look at things that we have to track and manage against. But the most important thing to know is that last bullet is our job in keeping health and safety, in place. None of the people that are currently, following this plan and registering with us and having Bree, who's, by the way, with us today. I'm sorry not to introduce you right away, Bree.
Welcome, Bree.
Senior health inspector with the health department, longest running health department member on our team. Very long time history in the space as well. But 90% of the complaints that we get are coming from unpermitted properties. So we're not doing the job we want to do. And this job takes a lot of time, which we'll go into in a second. So 10% of the complaints are coming from people who have been going through this process of having us inspect their properties. And the other 90% are coming from people who have no interest. And that quote down below is really, we hear this everywhere. It's an actual quote, but we hear a version of this all the time. Why would I pay you to come in and tell me to spend more money? I'm trying to keep my rent reasonable for my tenants. So we have this perception among our constituents as well that this is not offering us value. They don't see that it's offering them value. And that's our first dynamic. We have very poor compliance and it's actually not making a difference in what our local regulations are requiring. Important for you to understand, the state does not require us to inspect. The state just requires that we are meeting essential health and safety requirements. However, when we do inspect, and Bree will talk more about this in a minute, when we do inspect, they would like a fairly detailed, inspection done. And therein lies the rub, which we'll more on that in 1 second. So non-compliance and lack of effectiveness is this one. If we go on, and Rob Vicari is here as well, because this impacts as our building commissioner, this impacts a lot of what we're doing on the short-term rental and the rental side of things in general. So the next thing is that there's an opportunity now as we look at the change in city ordinances and state building codes that are changing Rob's requirement to inspect. There's an opportunity for us now to take advantage of that and have some pretty significant benefit. Firstly, as I said earlier, and you see that down in the blue below, everybody has a different view of what are the properties that we have in the city. There's the assessor's perspective on what's a single family or a 2-family or an apartment or, 2 buildings on a lot of multifamily. What percentage of those are rentals? They don't know. There's the building perspective as they look at short-term rentals and say, I think I have about 2,000. And I think, Rob, that's based on state registrations. Is that correct?
It's roughly a state number.
Okay, and then 780 multifamilies that, through Rob's department, they've determined that, with the new multifamily, inspection requirements, he'll be attending to. And then we have the numbers we just told you, right, of what we have. So, but the city today has no place where they can go to say, let's see the rental properties. So if the fire chief wants to get out an alert, and information about time to update your smoke detectors, if the health department has something that they want to communicate, lead abatement, anything that might be in the interest of public health and safety, we have no way of reaching our landlords except those 560 people, who have chosen to be compliant. And they, in fact, we don't even necessarily have their contact information in all cases as it should be. So, important to understand here is that the building code changes are going to expand the requirements and the level of detail that is needed. On the right-hand side of this graphic, you'll see a little blossom. It looks like a blossom, but it's a Venn diagram of the overlap of the conditions that impact the work we have to do for short-term rental as one example, but also impacting the inspection work that Rob's team will have to do. So depending upon what kind of a building you are, depending upon whether you're resident or non-resident, depending upon whether you're owner occupied or non, if you have a septic system, if you're a condo, these are all dynamics that are going to impact the work that has to get done to track against the ordinance that you all have passed in its current form. And if we step back and look at that, everything that Rob will be doing for almost everything on there, with the exception of single family, non-short-term rentals, and two-family non-short-term rentals, will be doing more than what we're doing today, from an inspection standpoint. So Rob's team will be doing an inspection that is easily helping us know that those who have self-identified and he's going out there, he'll be able to, let us know that this is being done. And so therefore our obligation to the state in that respect is being met. And again, there are gaps, but given our compliance, which you saw on the last slide, this is a heck of a lot more than we're currently reaching today. But also important to know is that there's no way we don't have good data today. And it's a real problem as we try and grow and expand how we're working with our community. I think of them as a business people because they're a landlord. And the little green sides of the back of that flower are the pieces of data that we also don't have. So how is tax status impacting it? How is zoning impacting it? What's the contact information for these individuals? How does map lot correlate to it? How many units are in a building, et cetera. So this is again sort of a pain slide, and that this is the dynamic we're facing. And that last bullet talks about how the city, really needs a better way to understand and help us understand the rental market a little bit better. And so, Rob, can I turn this over to you as well?
Yeah.
And maybe you can add in
So,
your perspective on it.
With what Dominic is looking to do by removing the rental dwelling certificate and go with more of a rental registry, it'll give us, along with anyone else who needs the data or information, to know exactly what we have in the city for rental stock, for housing in general, because this works, which I believe it will. It'll give us a better idea of what we have to be able to know which way we want to move with different zoning changes, laws, however those want to work. And it'll help my staff understand better of, how much I have to deal with on any given day. Because the numbers I have are preliminary and we don't know. With having this set up, we'll have a better idea of exactly how many houses we have and how they're being used, and to make sure they are safely, but, for people to be in. So we don't have any tragedies in the city.
Thank you. So the final, piece of assessment comes in, which is the time spent. And so Bree is here and I'd like her to speak to this. I just want to give you an overview of what you're looking at here. In the blue is the, gosh, I wish I had my glasses on. In the blue is the money that we're actually bringing in. And in the red is I'm good. I remember my slide now is sort of the cost of it. So we're dramatically spending a whole lot more than we're actually delivering. And we have some dynamics in here around how long it takes us to properly inspect a unit at the small number we have, versus what it would take if we you know, if we inspected it properly, which is what the state wants us to do when we are inspecting, which we don't do right now because of the time it takes. Bree would have no time at all to handle the other very important part of her job, which is housing complaints, right? So this is where we have a resident who is in a bad situation and needs the, you know, the department to come in and inspect and help guide the landlord on how to make those conditions appropriate. So if we think about enforcement versus support, like that side of her job is directly helping, you know, those who are aggrieved, and it's really important to part of her role. And so if we look at how this number will grow with short-term rentals, we quickly turn into a moment where we will not be able to get this job done as the state expects it with Bree. And we really feel, again, our regulation is overreaching right now in its promise and under delivering and certainly not providing any value. So, you know, blended rate of $50, every cost of inspection is about $150. We charge 90, so we lose $60 with every inspection, again, if done properly. And so let me just help, I'm gonna hand it over to Bree for a minute to talk about what is proper versus what we are doing today. And in our department, we are screamingly transparent about what we do or don't do as a value. So we're not, this is no reflection on any of the people that work. It's just literally how things are going right now. So go ahead.
So based on our current local regulation, the certificate of rental dwelling requires us to conduct a comprehensive inspection using state sanitary code. So the state sanitary code is 34 pages, 37 sections of things that I have to look at. So anything from locks to screens to, you know, just equipment, like every single little thing in a rental unit. That's gonna take more than likely at least an hour to fully do, looking at every single little thing, making sure there's hot water, you know, testing every single sink, faucet, you know, bathtub, everything. And then you get another hour of writing up a report, documenting any violations, all of that. There's then a process of sending that letter certified mail to the owner. They get a time frame to correct, then you're conducting re-inspections. So it just turns into a revolving door of people having to fix things, which goes back to a lot of the landlord's concerns of more money that they now have to put in to a unit that they have to now wait to rent because they have to make these repairs before they can rent it. And then on top of that, my time, this isn't the only thing I do. So this is one aspect of my job. I'm also out conducting pool inspections and doing beach testing and recreational summer camps and body art, you know, tanning salons. So to try to do comprehensive inspections on every single rental unit before they're rented, then have to do re-inspections on top of all the other things. And then on top of that, any cases or complaints that I get from residents that their landlord is not fixing things in places that they're currently living, that they've asked them to fix and they just haven't, or there's some kind of landlord tenant issue going on, then that's another hour or so I'm spending conducting an inspection there. Then the follow-up to that too, it could end up in court, and that's an entire day going to court. We currently have a court case that we've been dealing with for over a year. So that's potentially how long one single housing case could keep going on and on and on and take up time.
And they're languishing today. You know.
Yeah.
Based on your inspection protocol, if things are not satisfactory, is there a certain threshold at which point you can withhold occupancy by law?
So if it's, yeah, I mean, if it's very, very bad, our code goes into conditions deemed to endanger. I mean, if it is very egregious that their safety is at risk, then we're looking at condemnation. And there's a whole procedure to that, depending on whether they're currently in the unit or not. So, and that would be a hearing in front of our board and then steps, you know, again, we don't want anyone living on the street or anything like that. So it would be setting them up with services. And that kind of goes into that case management part of my job as well. That really that I have not been able to attend to in my housing cases as well, because I'm spending time doing these pre-rental inspections and then these cases are falling to the wayside.
And our board has approved this, so obviously the board is the one that tells us how we have to operate, and they are on board with this. We're helping you understand the dynamics of why we made it, because it's a reduction in fee and just giving you a perspective on it. At the end of the day, we want Bree to be doing those kinds of inspections when we have complaints. And we want to rely on the building department to do the majority of the inspections as part of the process that they have to do anyways. And that's what our board is aligned on to move to this registry. So when we look at all of this, why aren't people complying? Lack of awareness, they know they're non-compliant, cost of inspection, cost of repairs. What can we do to help encourage them? And, we're focused really hard on how we can add value, reducing the cost, or can we help them get access to services by, registering? And then, at the current inspection requirements, do we even have the time to do the job right? And how can we reduce the time needed? And so that led to, our other plan here of like, all right, what are we gonna do? So we need to expand self-enrollment, find a way to get people to wanna play, improving the value to the owner, really being able to connect their registration or connection with us to things like financial relief, prerequisite for other department services, as an example. The short-term rental enablement, access to grant funding, so really setting it up as, I call it the velvet curtain from the private sector. So if you register, you get access to things. So we're going to change it from one of enforcement to one of value, and tie into the municipal services that we can provide for the same. Getting rid of duplicative inspecting, giving us time to respond to housing complaints. Allowing us to educate the public in the meantime. So long way of saying, here is therefore the plan. We're gonna turn it into a rental registry, giving the city a better overview of properties and property owners' contact information for emergency violations, being able to educate owners by when they come in to register, capturing the information in that little bloom here that I showed you earlier. So we'll capture that up front via a port of entry that everybody will have. If you are a rental property, you'll come in here, tell us about yourself. We'll do this through OpenGov. We'll require that you click on your obligations as a landlord. And therefore we are assuring that people are educated, which is our requirement as to the terms of the law that the state wants us to do. By having it in OpenGov, we're going to be able to, get all the business rules going on so that Rob's folks will have the information they need to understand size and shape of what they have to do to inspect or pay, manage complaints. All of us will be able to do ad hoc analysis against the same. So really, this plan will start this, rental registry database, right? And we think it's going to be a really important part of our ability to communicate to a big chunk of property owners that are impacting a lot of residents by their unit, their geographic location, and really just building a better relationship with the city. That's my lofty aspiration there. And so here is what is before you now. If we look at certificate of rental dwelling on that top line to the rental registration on the bottom line, the total number we currently do in a year is about 262, which takes 786 out of the whatever. I think I have it somewhere in my spreadsheet, like the total number of hours available to employ. I think it's like 14 or something. It's like taking a big chunk of time to do this correctly every year. And instead now I'm conservatively saying 1,500 because that's all the ones we know about. But if we take Rob's number of 2,000, that number obviously gets bigger. Going from a cost to deliver from 150 down to $13 an applicant. Obviously we're reducing the fee for the same because it's, $90 is a lot to register. You can see the reduction in the annual hours spent, but you'll also see an increase in the revenue delivered. So we think it's a good plan. Our board has said it's a good plan. And we need you to give us the nod on reducing. We're introducing a new fee here and getting rid of an old one. So I don't know how you want to position it, but the rental certificate of dwelling will go away and a new regulation that will be our rental registration regulation will come into play. So that is the end of my little.
I really like that graphic.
The flower? Yeah. It's very difficult to be able to show
Well,
information in a clear way.
you and Rob's office, you're dealing with a lot of complex issues.
Yeah.
And,
It's on the flower.
yeah, it's a wall.
It was done on St. Patrick's Day too, so it's green, so,
Mod.
yeah.
Counselors, questions, Counselor Gilman?
Yeah, I got a question. When you said that you could optimize some services.
Yes.
Can you give us a better idea of what those might be? Because that sounds intriguing.
Yeah,
In terms of, because they're gonna look at this suspiciously and say, well, what's in it for me,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So how do you make that, how do you drive that question?
yeah, what we're doing right now is looking around the city and looking at all of our community organizations and what kind of services are provided and available. And we'd like to be able to say that, if you are registered with the city and, Rob has said that you are able to, be an apartment owner, an apartment anyways, because obviously it starts with him from a zoning standpoint, and a viable apartment. But when you register with us, now we would like to be able to give you access to services. So if there are grants that might support capital improvement in your building, if there are grants that can support services that you can offer. I mean, we talked to our board about, wouldn't it be great if we could post you as a certified landlord so that tenants can find you? If I go way out on a limb here, wouldn't it be great if we could offer you services that are connected to, who are connect the tenants to the landlords so that we have the process. We have already today, Val, the requirement for public housing. So you can't, if you want to get if you want to be a Section 8, you have to comply to the Gloucester regulations. And that means that Bree has to go inspect every Section 8. So now, unless you register, you won't be able to do that. So things like that are what we want to be, so that you pay the $30 and we can bring you value. If you want to find out about lead abatement, we're connected to a lot of public health, resources at the state level, and increasingly we're going to wanted to be finding grants to bring in and help the community. And so this would be the way for us to be able to help landlords. If we know about you, we can communicate to you. If we know about you, we can bring you that value and advantage. So it's no longer prove to us that you are, that your building is great. It's now about come to us, we'll educate you on what you have to do, and we'll also try and bring you more value.
I have a
Make sense?
follow-up question.
But yes, it does.
Is there like a hypothetical way that you could add to the special counsel permit request an opportunity to kind of ask the questions, are you registered? And possibly think of ways to discount them on a part of the fee for doing work from a special counsel permit. So kind of connect that incentive into the planning and development special counsel permit to be kind of a.
That's not before.
No,
It's
not
an
before, but I'm
example
just-
of how,
But we've got the players here.
I know,
Yeah.
but still, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not before.
So it's an interesting idea, and then also just being able to, reach out and let people know about what's available and what's
Yeah.
new. And,
Okay.
if something happens that impacts their business, their rental business, we can communicate to them. So a lot of folks don't know these. I don't think there's
Right.
people that are bad folks in our city. I think there's a lot of people that just don't know. And so
Right.
this will also present the opportunity to, in a moment when we have something like that, be able to communicate effectively around it.
Great.
Are you developing these standards within the office here in Gloucester, or are there the standards that have been applied statewide? I know that the Board of Health is reports to the state effectively
Yes.
rather than to the city administration. You have your own network of accountability.
Yep.
And I'm curious how this dovetails with what you're getting from.
Other communities have
Boston.
built rental registries. The state doesn't really care how you enforce their regulation, either through your own local, like as we've done doing the inspections, but others have done it through registries. And then other cities just wait for the phone to ring, and then go out and do the inspection as Bree does, and kind of handle it. Our board would like us to be more proactive and really focus on education and try and, make sure everybody's aware.
Getting out ahead of it a little bit.
Yeah, so that we don't, because if you actually had, no awareness, like the number of times Bree's gonna be doing a housing case, which is expensive to the city as well, by the way. A housing case becomes our burden. It can ultimately hit our legal team. It can, it can go to a lot of places. So we would rather spend time educating and leave the building safety up to the building department, instead of us having to look at things that we normally would look at as well.
And it creates an opportunity too for when I do get those landlord tenant complaints, that I now have a contact info for a landlord, that maybe the situation can get resolved before I'm going out and conducting a full inspection. And, maybe it is just miscommunication between them, or they're unaware of their obligations, whatever it may be. And just being able to kind of nip it before it
It's
becomes,
much more efficient. if you
Yes.
have that basic data.
So the state does not require Board of Health inspections on rental properties.
Not as a course of action. Our board has typically, we currently have a regulation that our local regulation that requires us to inspect anybody who wants to be a rental property.
Okay.
And that's been in place for, many
since
years.
1990.
Local ordinance.
Yeah. And so what we're doing is changing that and simplifying
Well,
it
it's
so
actually,
that,
it's not even an ordinance, it's
Right.
a Board of Regulation.
yeah, it's a regulation. With fines and fees connected as well,
So there is no requirement to comply with 105 CMR 410.
No, there is a requirement, but how we do that is on our watch. If you're referring to the CMR at the start of the show. Yeah, so
Yeah,
this,
certificate of
Yeah.
rental dwelling.
The certificate of rental dwelling is our local reg.
Oh, it is.
yeah, certificate of rental dwelling is our local reg that helps
Okay.
us demonstrate to the state
All right.
that our landlords know their obligation by going in and physically inspecting everything. The state requires that we, meet health and safety requirements, which again overlap heavily with the building department at this point now. Because the building department's remit because of short-term rental, they're gonna be looking at a lot more properties now than they did before. Also making sure that, that again, that the landlords are adhering to those regulations is on our watch. And so what we want to do is get rid of the regulation to inspect and just add regulation to register, which we believe will benefit the entire city. And allow the collaboration, because also housing cases are often a collaboration between building
So-
and health department.
Do you and the building department data share now, or is that your vision?
Wish that it were so. We are working right now. We have a plan for this to have this to be at the top of the rental registry, and then have that ready so that when we go live with short-term rental, that will happen. It's unclear, given the state of the information services group right now, how that's going to unfold. But we think it's really important that any rental starts there. And it would feed all of the work that Rob has to do through OpenGov, and also again, build this registry. So the plan is absolutely to do that. The how is, until recently, we thought it was absolutely going to unfold in that way, but I think there's some dynamics right now, given the status of our, basically Vicky leaving, and
Yeah,
John coming in.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah.
That wouldn't even be part of this.
No. But I mean, that is actually important, because the OpenGov is the environment that people operate in today to come and register with us and to request the inspection. And also, Rob's folks do all their inspectional work via OpenGov as well, so it's a
Yeah,
very
Rob,
important part of the project.
are you required to inspect all dwelling units, not just short term?
So
All rental.
all multifamily properties along with short-term rentals are required. So
So-
if you get it a single family or two family, no, I'm not obligated,
three
unless
families
it's
above.
short family. 3 family above, condos are like a form of ownership. It means nothing in my books. So if you have a building that has 4 condos in it, for me, it's still considered a multifamily. It will still get an inspection. That's so.
Yeah, because they have same,
Yeah, same.
Common-
That's
common
net
areas.
new, right? Like that's your change in building.
Yes.
And where does a landlord find the Board of Health regulations?
Where would the landlord find? Well, they can come and look on our website and find them, but they don't, as a rule. So,
It's on the Board of Health website.
yeah, our local regulations as well as I believe the links are the same. in what we're proposing from a technology standpoint is when you register, you know, you're gonna just click and acknowledge that you've read it. I would love to have it unfold and have you scroll through it, you know, like we've all had to do, verifying that you've read through it. Again, we're just trying to figure out what's possible near term versus long term with OpenGov. It's certainly possible in OpenGov. I know that. It's just a question of our skills and being able to get that done in the time frame we need it.
Yeah, I've had trouble before trying to find,
If you look on the left hand side there,
Yeah.
there should be a state and local or something around
guidance and
regulations.
regulations. Got it. Okay,
Yeah, it's quite difficult to maneuver,
except for that comes up blank.
blank.
That,
Do you have to click deeper? On
One of
that
the top thing.
doc?
those are all,
Go to local regulations and guidance on the left there,
that's where I
or
got
right at
this,
the top.
all right here, got it, okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a rabbit
Oh,
warren.
all right, oh, yeah, now I see it, okay, yeah. It was a different, the left-hand drop down was
Yeah,
better.
a lot of, we
Yeah.
really want to start
Okay.
focusing on improving
Yep.
a lot of that. It's just a question, like we're, you
Yep, no,
know,
it's, yeah.
right now, that's
That-
deck chairs on the Titanic compared to what we're kind of.
One thing that's certainly obvious from your presentation and
Yeah.
Rob's comments and description of what he and his staff are doing, and your staff is, there's a lot of complexity
Mm.
involved in this. And there's not necessarily a lot of existing structure or collaboration,
Right.
both with homeowners, or there's not an incentive to participate actively and take advantage of these resources and to comply as they may be legally required to.
That's
So
right.
this is, it's a good education for us. And it's the sort of thing that this, all our population needs as well. So,
Yeah,
So for a good landlord, the carrot is that you get CBDG grants, affordable housing. You have, the services like energy, action energy,
Mhm.
and those types of things. And then you have, also your ability to point them in the direction for things like lead abatement and stuff like that.
and you know, I don't want to say the good landlords versus the bad landlord, but I think it's the uninformed and people that just think it's a cost for them and they're just avoiding the cost. And so we're really trying to turn that on its head. And also really important here is that little blossom my Venn diagram of overlap, that's a representation of our information architecture that we have to have, right? Which our technology group will be helping us to be sure that we have this available for anybody. If the fire chief wants to communicate, we'll be able to go after these properties. So there's just a lot of value in building this perspective that will benefit. You know, we have the assessor in there, planning department, health, building, the list really goes on, and being able to kind of reach this constituency well.
So bottom line, what you're asking us to do here is, and you elaborated on all the reasons why, is to vote on a fee change.
That's right. And it's actually getting rid of a fee and adding a fee. I'm not changing the same fee. You know?
And your board has, with the department, has developed all of these reasons why.
Yes, and the board has already voted and approved this. In fact, they've approved all of our fee change
It'll be
recommendations.
coming forward. Great, thanks.
Does city council actually need to endorse yours, or is the? Board
So
of Health an
interesting
independent-
question. So our state says you can form your fees and follow local regulations as to how that, or local ordinances as to how that happens. Nowhere in our charter or ordinances is anything connected to the word health department and fees. But our council, Suzanne, was saying, listen, because it doesn't directly authorize you to do it, you have to presume that you're gonna follow the role of the rest of the department. So that's what we're doing. And we'll be bringing them all before you all. And you know, it is impacting revenue, so I think it's appropriate that we're briefing you on it as well. So we have no problem following that
Excellent.
guidance.
That's part of the good communications.
Yeah.
I have one more
Councilor
question.
Gilman.
So in one of your slides, you had said that you look at what other municipalities are doing. Can you share any of that? Not, you don't have to get real heavy, but and any part of this thought that you're advocating for right now, did that come from another municipality?
The registration, absolutely. Other municipalities are doing registrations. I'm not sure other municipalities are doing registrations with an eye towards how they can provide the value. But you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I know, Worcester recently, did a registration, a lot of, places like around the Cape area do the registries, specifically around, I think that a lot of those are short-term rentals. But, and then a lot also have very similar, like our current rental certificate, or certificate of habitability, they all have a little bit of different language. And, but I know a lot of them do inspections as well. But I also used to work in a municipality where it was, it was actually an ordinance for us to do these and we didn't. Because we didn't have the capacity to
Right. be
conducting inspections, it just wasn't, we had 400 food establishments that we were, that took priority, so. It's, and I think the big thing amongst all of those communities as well is also compliance is low. That's definitely a big thing across the board.
Unfunded mandate.
Well, it happens often. I mean, there's a lot that if you read all of the laws that were, one of our slides in the bigger deck is, all those laws that we're supposed to be enforcing. It's a huge set of law. And with a department our size, it's not viable. Like, it's not, it wouldn't make sense, right, to fund it like at that clip. So we have to get creative about how we help people understand their obligations, and I think sweetening it rather than, carrot versus stick.
Yeah, makes sense.
Any other questions? I think it's reflects very good long-term and short-term work, and an implementation rollout that's going to be ultimately very helpful. And working in collaboration with building inspections office, it's going to move us ahead.
You agree?
So the memorandum before us is from the Director of Public Health, Dominique Hurley, requesting our approval of a fee change request to the rental registry regulation. Budget and Finance would move to recommend that the City Council approve the proposed fee change and memo dated March 5th, 2025, as incorporated hereto, presented by the Director of Public Health and approved by the mayor, and I so move.
Second.
Motion made, and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Onwards.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And was this level of presentation helpful for you, because we have similar ones lined up for the other 3 sets?
Yeah.
I think it was a nice balance
I
between
read it.
detail and depth, yeah.
Okay,
That's very good.
thank you.
Thank you.
And we just celebrate here again, the 5th year anniversary of not having COVID.
Oh, there we go. Really?
So
Time
it's-
flies, right?
yeah, no, you guys had an office right here at this table giving shots.
5 years ago, that's remarkable.
Here.
Feels like
People are-
yesterday.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5 on our agenda this evening is going down to the creek and building a little sand dam at Good Harbor. Is that the way you describe it, Mike?
This is Haskell,
Yes.
Yes.
It's a little dam in the water.
Little Dam.
So you've got a city engineer requesting our acceptance of a FEMA hazard mitigation grant program, HGMP, in an incredible amount of $8,898,744.60.
We're gonna let Dana go and I'm here for questions.
Hey, Dana, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
You're larger than life over our table.
That's kind of scary. All right, I'm here to request approval for a significant grant that we were fortunate enough to be awarded from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, their Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. The funding is designated for Phase 3 improvements for our Haskell Pond Dam. This dam is classified as a high hazard potential dam, meaning failure of that dam would result in high hazards. This will see the project through final, or it's already been designed and permitted, but it will see us through construction of the dam. The total project cost is just north of 10 million. This grant is nearly 9 million, so it's a significant portion of the entire project cost. We also have another award from Massachusetts Dams and Seawall Grant for $1 million, getting us almost to the entire project cost. So I see this as a very significant opportunity, important project for protecting our community and the environment, enhancing public safety and the resiliency of our infrastructure.
Sounds good to me. Even though there's not a shooting range there anymore. Council questions?
No brainer.
Well,
Get it while we can.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, Dana, if you or Mike would just describe in general detail without getting into the specifics, just what this next phase of the rehabilitation of that dam is.
you have the plans, Dana. I mean, currently we're operating, I believe, 3 feet below normal capacity because obviously the dam safety is requiring us to keep the level low just due to the nature of that dam. 3 feet doesn't sound like a lot, obviously.
Huge volume.
The further you're up, the more volume you have. Requires us to transfer a lot of water to dikes to maintain that level, which we can transfer between basins. This project started probably sometime around 2014. It was around an $8 million project at that point in time. The city did not feel they had the capacity to borrow all at once, so they asked us to do it in phases. And so Dana's the current city engineer, and she's on this phase, and so this was a long time coming, and certainly a very.
Did Paul start it or?
Larry Durkin in my office started this project, which we did the first 2 phases of it. This is the final phase of this dam.
Connor, do you see any coming up with our share of it?
No, so the finance manager, TPW, and I come up with a plan. It's well worth the match.
It's probably our largest grant we've received without additional funding necessary, though much additional funds necessary to complete the project. And so obviously our state and federal partners have been great, and Dana's office has been diligent in making sure we saw this through.
Now I just need you to replicate this success on the secondary treatment plant.
We're
in terms of
working,
funding
working on
sources.
that too, so we'll hope to bring good news in the next 12 months.
And we just need to get our 3A compliance in place before that. Councilor, questions?
No.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
So the committee recommendation, I would move to recommend that the city council accept under Mass General Law 4453A, a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Federal Emergency Management Agency, passed through the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, a hazard mitigation grant program in the amount of $808,898,744.60 for the Haskell Pond Dam Design, Storm, and Seismic Improvements Project. The grant period is from August 5th, 2021 to May 2nd, 2026. The grant requires a cash match of $684,149.40. And I so move.
$179.40.
$684,179.40. Thank you. And I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Awesome.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Excellent, that's really exciting. How soon does that get rolling in, Howard?
It's all permitted and designed, so as soon as the money lands, we'll start moving.
You have a contractor in place?
It hasn't been bid yet.
Okay.
For construction purposes, obviously, until we accept the grant, we're not comfortable bidding it yet.
Prudent. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Mike.
Sir. Thank you. Item number 6 on our budget and finance agenda this evening is a memorandum for the Veterans Services District Director, V. Chipperoni, requesting our acceptance of donations to support the Cape Ann Veteran Services in the amount of $450. I would move to recommend that the City Council accept various donations under Mass General Law 4453A to support veteran services in the amount of $450 from the following members and business partners within our community, whom are the Trinity Congregational Church, Michelle Pironi, John and Janice Bell, and Ed Knoll, for a total of $450. And I so move.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. The next to last item, is a memorandum from our Assistant Fire Chief requesting acceptance of a fiscal year 2024, 2025 HNEP grant. This is in the amount of $20,000. Chief.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for having me. We're just putting this grant before you. We received a grant for $20,000 in a regional effort. Our gentleman working out of our office, Colin Buckner, received the grant, so we're happy for that. And we're looking for approval from you folks to move it over to City Council so we can get it rolling.
Any questions from council?
There's no match, so that's awesome.
I'm just
Yeah.
admiring your fireplace.
Yeah, it used to be very nice. It's not operational anymore, unfortunately, so.
Tony, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the motion. I appreciate you hanging in with us. Budget and Finance would recommend that the City Council accept under Mass General Law 4453A a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation and Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. I don't think I've heard of that one before. Passed through the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency and for a federal fiscal year 2024-2025 hazardous material emergency preparedness in the amount of $20,000. The grant period is through June 30th, 2025. There is no local match for this requirement, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Keep it up. Well done.
All right, thank you, folks. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Look who's here with us. How are you, Kenny?
Counselors.
This list has grown a little longer.
Actually, the list is it's actually less this time by about 9 accounts. But the amount did increase from 2.2 million to 2.7. And of course, the large increase is due to snow and ice. So there's a $500,000 increase, and the largest is, snow and ice, which is no surprise at this time of year. So pretty much everything is the same from last time. We did, and thank you to Connor and his team, payroll to correct the encumbrances. Even like if you see the last report, the auditor, there was a small deficit in encumbrances. In this report, it's been cleaned. It's been removed.
Great. Answer questions.
Nope.
This is typical this time of year, so nothing concerning at this time.
Have you and Mike and Connor looked into your crystal ball in terms of have we covered the snow and ice budget for the year or not?
I think we're done.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss. We'll have to talk about it. How we'll cover it. Hopefully, there's no shortfalls in the budget.
Where are we with the state in terms of our free cash evaluation and assessment and being able to move ahead with the community preservation work?
I'm actually very close. I'm towards the final stages of completing all the documentation. I'm hopeful tomorrow I'll be able to submit the balance sheet to the state, or that's what we call it. To the auditors, we call it the balance sheet, which produces the certification of free cash. So my plan is to submit next week. Typically, in a normal situation or circumstance, it's usually about a week. But I expect there'll be a lot of questions. There typically is. So next week I'll be answering DOR questions.
Better you than us.
It's expected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
If there are no other business before budget and finance this evening, I accept a motion to adjourn.
Well moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Lines, you want to oppose?
Voting member, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Connor.
Thank you, Connor.